next panel discussion will be highlighting the road ahead, navigating challenges in the tech-driven era. So I would like to invite our esteemed panel members. Please help me invite a round of applause. Mr. Himanshu Jesse Vadia, Director, IT Innovation and Automation, Amdocs. Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Due to unforeseen reasons, he would be not joining us. Please help me invite Mr. Rachit Batham, Leader, AI and Digital Transformation, Genpact. Can we have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. Rachit is the Leader, AI and Digital Transformation at Genpact. He's a visionary leader in business and technology consulting with over 2 decades of experience driving large-scale digital transformation across India, the UK, and Europe. Now, please help me invite, with a round of applause, Mr. Supriyo Chowdhury, Associate Director, Concentrix. Mr. Supriyo is a seasoned technology leader with over 16 years of global experience across software development, engineering practices, product and program management, and digital transformation. Can we have a round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Supriyo Chowdhury? Now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Raamanathan Gururajan, Senior Director, Relanto, INC. Let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Raamanathan Gururajan. From hands-on technical roles to running businesses crossing over $25 million per year, they have built a career on creating impact with minimal resources and scaling it with sharp product instincts, engineering, and strategic leadership. Now I would like to invite our moderator for this session, Mr. Goutham KS, CIO, Mentor, Advisor, NBFCs, Fintechs, Startups. Can we have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? A more louder one. Mr. Goutham is a dynamic and accomplished Chief Information Officer with over 25 years of experience in the BFSI sector, renowned for leveraging technology to drive digital transformation, operational excellence, and customer-centric innovation. Now I'd request you, sir, to please lead the discussion for us.
Okay. Good evening, all. Good evening, all. So energy-packed discussions happening since morning, and I am also enjoying with each session with a different type of topics and different type of experiences. People are bringing with immense, what you can say, domain-specific and technology-specific expertise and sharing. So in the same series, let us do this topic is very interesting, technology-driven. So first of all, we should know what are the technologies which are there in the current trend and what is going to the impact. The second one, how it is going to be seen from the leadership, how they have been adaptation, what is the influence they are doing. Third is how we are going to ensure those technologies it is being used at the ground level, what are the skill set and what are the employees who are doing the part of the teams, how they are going to perform. The last but not least will be how this is all things will be with the priority, what type of priority we are going to give. So this will be the series of the discussions, and I am very thankful and very fortunate to have all the experts in as part of the panel. And I will ask each one up to introduce themselves, then we'll shoot out with the questions. Thank you. So now the first question will be Ram. Okay. So now, what are the top, what you can say, 2 or 3 technology trends, what are in the current one, which is going to influence, which is going to impact, which is going to infuse, as per you?
Sure. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So overall, if you look at the little bit of the past, we are looking at software 1.0, which is a time where we had to write code and develop software. This is going back 1950s. Then we are talking about the software 2.0, where code is not necessarily the most important thing, but then the data becomes important thing, which is the AIML. That's about 2010 onwards. Then we have evolved to the current state of software 3.0, where code is also not important, neither is obviously the data only, but then now we can give prompts for us to be able to generate a certain kind of value out of them. The future ahead, and in fact, as we stand in 2025, is software 4.0, where we are essentially looking at the evolution of that as agentic systems for it to be able to make some sense and take decisions and actions. So the future ahead obviously would have a software 5.0, which is what 2-3 of the larger companies like Meta, Google, and OpenAI are working on, which is for the AGI. And that's the 5.0 version, where agents would intercommunicate with each other and would reach the final phase of being able to be better and more intelligent than humans. So that would be my view of looking at how software 1.0 all the way till 5.0 is set up.
You would like to add to that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think you've already spoken about agentic AI. The other two technologies I would think would become really prominent, and they are increasingly gaining prominence. One is quantum computing. I think we all read about this. So Google recently launched a machine which could actually complete a certain set of activities in 5 minutes, which would otherwise take 10 septillion years. Just to put things in context, it is 1 followed by 24 zeros. So clearly, I mean, it would bring a revolution in the space of problem solving, especially when we are looking at drug discovery, financial modeling, and this is going to be a game changer. The other technology, and that is my personal favorite, and I'm really upbeat about it, is neurotechnology. I mean, we all know about what Neuralink did. So they enabled a patient who could actually move a cursor on the screen through his brain waves. I mean, academia is doing a lot of work in that space. So University of Texas, they recently launched an AI model which actually could decode your thoughts. So that is something which I'm personally upbeat about, because this is going to bring lots of social good, lots of mobility in patients, which was not possible by the technology of yesterday or even today. So those are the other two technologies, and of course, the flavor of the year, or we call it agentic AI, and Ram has already spoken about it, so I'm not going to add to that. But these are the 3 technologies, if I have to embody, like so-called 3 technologies, which I would put my bet on.
Rachit, thank you very much. After having a long flight, finally you made to attend this. Thank you very much. Okay. From the technology, next we will go to the next one is overcoming what are the challenges. The challenge will be 3. One is how you are going to do the skill set of the employees or the team members who are going to working on that. Second, in how you are going to make it secure. Third, how you are going to use them in a full-fledged manner with the privacy. These are the things which you are to address. So just I will pose the question now to Ram only. What is the balancing between innovation and security?
Yes. So this is a very important thing. I want to refer back to a framework that has been very successful now. The framework comes from Professor Rajendra from ISB and Ramasamy, who wrote a paper early in 2000s. Okay. So what they said is, look, for us to add value into the ecosystem for any company, there are 3 different dimensions around which we have to measure them. One is how good we are doing for a customer, which is customer development. So think of them as CRM. The second important one is how we are doing on the supply chain side. So SCM, supply chain management. And the last one is your product management or the product development. So all these 3, you can visualize them to be your columnar structure around which value needs to be created for you to genuinely have a cutting edge value or a product. It could be anything. It could be, you can refer to cases, success cases from Tesla all the way to your bike manufacturers. Anywhere where there's a success, all these 3 different columnar dimensions have been accessed. Now, putting into perspective about security and privacy, and which is kind of the sensitive topics that we are bringing up here, one of the things we need to know is for us to add value in these 3 dimensions, let's visualize what kind of row structure is required for us to embed that. So what would be the most important ones? Number 1 is value chains. You need to assess what sort of value chains across the 3 dimensions you need to offer to the clients. Next, obviously, comes things that would be your objectives, KPIs, KRAs, all this, again, would go across these 3 dimensions that you need to define, follow, execute, and obviously compellingly ensure it meets the customer standards. And the last but not the least is your security and privacy. Because without that, all your regulation and compliance would get drained down. Thus, in that columnar structure, if you want to go across and check off all your regulatory and compliance needs, then security, privacy, and various other things that come along with, let's say, HIPAA, GDPR, and other DPDP regulations must also be checked on. So thus, instead of looking at innovation and security as different things, we should look at how are we going to innovate across these 3 dimensions: supply chain, product development, and also customer development, and then look at security as a measure that goes across all the 3, meeting again with all other structures that I've just discussed to open up the value chains for you and execute them to the perfection you need. So that would be my answer on that.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks. Rachit, you want to add to the privacy angle from your own perspective, how it is going to add to what Ram said? Any view you use?
Yeah, I would have a view, and that's going to be a little longish, so brace yourself.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'll try to draw a parallel here. I'm not too sure how many of you are aware, but there is already a successful framework, right, which is called FinOps, or Cloud Cost Management. Now, I always take a leaf out of some successful booklets. See, in the FinOps framework, there is a centralized team which actually defines the policies and at the same time allows for a decentralized usage of cloud and control of cloud. Now, in a similar manner, I would want all of you to imagine that there is a similar framework wherein you have shared responsibility between your risk function, your business, and IT. Now, the centralized function, let's say, for argument's sake, we talk about agentic AI or AI. Now, this centralized function will actually define all the policies, the strategic direction in which AI is moving, the guardrails, and the ethical boundaries in which AI would operate. What it means is that any AI model, whether deterministic or probabilistic, any algorithms, they will pass through this central body. Any use case that is getting created will have to go through this body to be approved so that they look at it. Now, and also, this body will have a layer of observability to see how their different use cases or the models are performing. Now, that's the first layer. Now, you look at your model lifecycle management. Typically, it will take care of your data, like what your data lineage is, what is getting into the model, your control point. So you always need to worry about 2 things: how much of access your model has when we talk about language models, and how much of decision making you are allowing your model to have.
So you're saying it is a governance mechanism? Can I say this is a governance also into place?
So this is basically a centralized governance for the decentralized usage of technology, right? So while I'll let the business define why do they want to use this technology, but it will have to go through the centralized authority. So that brings in standardization in the organization and ensures that your risk posture is always managed.
So in that case, is the industry or in the practical, in the different type of lines of business, how mature we are, where are we in this sense?
See, okay, I don't have a crystal ball, but I would still try to answer that. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll complete that, but so I'll last in first out. So, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, I think the industry is somewhere hovering between 1 to 2, right?
Okay.
We are still early days.
Yeah.
So again, coming back to the point, we talked about the model lifecycle management. The second layer I would think of is controls. Now, a control posture of one organization would be starkly different from the other. I'll give you an example. Now, one organization, of course, I worked with, and I've advised them on. So they are clear that in their control posture, if they are using customer data, of course, with customer's consent, then the model and the output will belong to the customer. Whereas I've also advised organizations where they are leveraging customer data to train their models. Of course, it is aggregated and de-identified. Now that defines your controls posture. The third, the biggest bit is regulatory compliance. Now we are seeing different geographies, continents coming up with different, I would say, regulatory posture. Let's talk about the EU AI Act. Now, if you're building an AI system to evaluate the performance of employees, now under the definition of EU AI Act, this is a high-risk use case. So you will have to produce a very detailed fact sheet for the regulator. Vis-a-vis if you're using AI to do threat modeling, it is a low-risk use case. So again, this is very specific to the market. You have similar rules. DPDP is already there. There is another regulation which is going to come to the surface, which would be where people's interest would be centric to it, and that would take you from the EU-AI Act. So these are the three circles, like the technology lifecycle management, controls, and then regulatory posture. These are like, I imagine this as concentric circles, and then you can build your framework around that. So that is what my take is.
I think this was very interesting topic. If you want to do further, if you want to continue the same, do you expect that this type of acts what we are referring to is region specific, country specific? So that means for India, how far it is going to, how far in Indian market, what is your view?
See, again, with tongue in the cheek, I would say there is a saying, America innovates, EU regulates, and India replicates. so I still go by that. So we would very soon, if not like maybe tomorrow, we'll see an evolution in our regulation as well. Like DPDP, it took a little longer than what was expected, and we'll see this evolving as the technology evolves.
Okay. Thank you, Rachit. Thank you, very well explained. Okay, now we're coming to we'll go to the next phase of the discussions. Will be what is the technology priorities in the 2025? So
the technology priorities in 2025, right? I think we talk about the 3 technology priorities, right? Now, if I say for 2025, we are talking about agentic AI, then I'm preaching to the choir, right? 4 out of every 5 companies, they are embracing AI already in some shape and form. But embracing AI is one part. How do you drive adoption? That is the biggest challenge that any company would grapple with. Now, to drive adoption, what you need to do, I mean, the classic recipe is you need to build a system which is fair, robust, trustworthy, secure, so that people with confidence can embrace this. Now, what I'm trying to allude to is building digital trust, right? And of course, combating your threats and cybersecurity. I mean, let's talk about threats and cybersecurity. I see them now in like typically 3 categories. One category is the classic old threats and the vulnerabilities which were already there since ages. The second category is the threats which have evolved, which have become sophisticated. Like with AI, your impersonation has become really sophisticated. And then there is a third category, which is a brand new category, which never existed because of the new technology, which is prompt injection or model inversion. I'm not getting deeper into technology. Now, how do you combat that? So, but I look at it in a different manner. While we are looking at threats because of new technology, why not use the new technology to combat these threats, right? So, and organizations are already using this AI to have a better risk posture. Right? And of course, we can get into the details of the solutions, but like keeping the sanctity of the... See, I will always call it, and typically this is the talk in the C-suite, that there is a fear of missing out. And I always say, there is a very fine line between fear of missing out and risk of messing up. So we need to tread it very carefully.
Okay, missing up and messing up. Good rhyming. Yeah, okay. Now, in this, I will request Supriyo, in whatever the discussions we had till now, so what is the leadership mindset and how you are going to adoption of this type of, from the leadership and boardroom perspective? That is the final decision, no? In respect of auto technology. So what is your view on that? So what is your experience?
Right, so great question. What I find, oftentimes the boardrooms or leaders, right, in the room, when they have the meeting, in my view, again, this is my view, I find the mindset need to be changed from control first to learning and empowerment first. So if we see like 90s or even early 2000, things were pretty much in controlled way in the boardroom, and the decisions used to be passed from top to down. But when we crossed 2010, and even more often than not 2015, we saw the change. So we saw the change, and the change, how it happened, again, technical responsibility should not be limited with CIO or CTOs. Rather, it should be, the responsibility should be lying down from the developers, from the junior engineers to the boards. So leaderships and executives, they should adopt this. So I have framed in these 3 ways, right? If I think of this, I think They change the mindset from control first to learning and experimental first. Leaders should allow the team to fail first. Even if they fail, they should allow the team to fail. Yeah, fail first and recover it. But the team should not be fearful, oh, if I implement this, I might be failing. There should be the disruption. If you allow the team to do that, there will be very less chance to, for innovation or something. So take an example of Satya Nadella's board, how Microsoft changed themselves, right? It was, the motive was not only to launching the Azure. Rather, they integrated this mindset from developers to board, and that is why they are the leader in cloud, AI, and even the platform. So I believe, yeah, these three things leaders and boards should adopt.
Okay. So in this adaptation, what will be any challenges you will foresee? At all levels?
Yeah, that I foresee the major challenge which I have seen. Oftentimes, people are not very sure why they are adopting it. This why factor is missing. It's kind of, we need to implement AI tools, but if I ask, lot of members are not sure what business problem they're trying to resolve. Instead of, oh, my competitors are adopting AI, so I should adopt AI. That's the mindset. So I think this is the major challenge. People should understand the need of adoption and what business problem they're trying to resolve.
Okay. Any views, Ram?
Yes, I do have one view, which is the clarity for what we are trying to do is a very important challenge today. The clarity is at the surface level. The need to do something and the value proposition that it brings on board has to become a lot more crystal clear. And considering where ChatGPTs and other technologies are, we can get a lot of innovations out of it for us to be able to drill that detailing so that you can open up the value chains and thus be very clear saying, look, 6 months down the line, if I have this, then obviously it is augmented back to the process within my company and thus moving it forward. That is where I can see certainly a challenge exists with respect to how we should educate ourselves, how we should approach and use these tools, and thus derive better value.
Okay. So what is your recommendation to do that? What you recommend?
Yes. So something a few months back that I started operating on is I said, look, let's, within our company, let's envision how the workplace is going to be year down the line, considering the evolution of these Gen AI tools. So we came up with a framework called Workplace AI. We said, if everybody is doing what they are doing today, which is there is Codex, there is vibe coding tools, there is DevOps tools, I'm just talking in terms of technology. Then the same thing is happening on the sales space. Salesforce, Agentforce, a variety of other agents are happening. Same thing is happening on the planning space. Same thing is happening in FP&A.
You're saying unified collaboration.
All these are happening in pieces. You're going to see that when they are all put together, you get this Workplace AI. And the Workplace AI will essentially become our way to kind of teach the system how to do business. And thus we are trading in skills. The very important element there is you're trading in skills. Human will trade skills. They will give up some of the technical skills to the machines. Machines will become better and better to know how to run the business technically. Humans will retain the conceptual skills and also some of the human skills.
But if that is the case, you were saying that so many innovations happening, they're coming, the products are coming to the market. Don't you think they were all covered, all these challenges, and they are matured enough to handle these things?
It doesn't look to be that way. If it was, then today we would have a lot more mature systems. The ROI will not get questioned.
Okay, I got it.
A lot of project ROIs are questioned because of that challenge.
So, is it right to say in the previous panel, there was one panel, one respected panel member was quoting on the 95% MIT, that survey, whatever the published a couple of days ago. Do you think because it is linked to whatever you are explaining?
Maybe there is some truth in that, but there is another study from MIT that I want everybody to refer to, which is very, very surprising, is that they took the human brain footprint of everybody who was using ChatGPT to solve problems.
Okay.
And then, so they made two groups.
Okay.
One group was all solving problems with ChatGPT. Another group was solving with Google and search engines.
Okay.
They realized that with the ChatGPT group, one of the scary things that was happening is a lot of decay was happening on our brain cells with respect to how we were using. And thus they were indicating that the more and more we use, the more and more dumber that group is going to be for solving problems.
Okay.
So thus, we can connect it back to something that came out earlier. The next research that talks about, okay, 95% is also to be questioned.
Oh,
so I would say the first research was a lot more powerful than the second one, because second one is more, you're touching the industry, which is a lot under the hood. Nobody really knows.
So I think that is alarming.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So we do have someone expert also agreeing to us.
Yeah. Okay. So at the end, we'll open the forum for the discussions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. No, thanks, Ram, for a very well detailed explanation. To the core, you are addressed that point. Thank you very much. Rachit, you want to add anything with your experience?
I think I'll focus on the, like Ram has very well articulated this, I'll focus on the softer side of it, which is enabling people. Now, if I have to underpin this with AI as a technology, and especially when we talk about agentic AI. Now, see, the AI of yesterday, it was more at the task level, but now we are fundamentally transforming the workflows and the processes. Now, I'll put some stats on the table. In a typical services organization, which is not into the business of AI, they have a different business to run, 5 to 10% is the top leadership, which will not impact the organization if whether they are trained or not trained on AI. It is more like they are the ones who will drive the direction, set the strategy. Now, out of that remaining 90%, around 10 to 15% are the people who will touch AI directly in terms of development, implementation. The remaining, the golden number, which is 70 to 75%, are the people who would be the users of AI. Now, if you don't upskill them, you don't train them, see, it would only be as sweet as the amount of sugar you put in, as they say. So if you don't train them, then the technology goes for a waste. As I said, you're changing the workflows, changing the processes. They need to be enabled. They need to be upskilled in order to drive full potential of the technology in your organization. So that's the softer side of it. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Now I remember one of the previous panels also they said ChatGPT is not to be fully extended to the potential is not being used. You just use like a extended Google. So there the skill set comes up. How best you have to pull the potential.
I mean, industry is using this so-called the cliche term augmented. Now you can have an augmented analyst, augmented business analyst, augmented advisor, whatever. So like augmenting the person. See, if you read what Academy is saying, it's gonna be a human agent mix. It's gonna be a symbiotic relationship.
Okay.
It's not either or. They're gonna survive. They're gonna coexist. It's all about the mix that we will arrive at.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Well explained. Okay. Now coming to with all these things, the things will come up. What are all the misconceptions or any prejudice in this entire discussion? I think I request Supriyo.
Yeah. So the misconception about technology adoption. Oftentimes I see the mindset, okay, if I adopt the AI tools, that is the AI adoption. It is actually not. It is actually not about any tools. Rather, it is about the process, about the change. A few days back, I was reading one of the famous research paper where it was said that we have the AI-ready system. Given that, do we have the AI-ready leadership to run it? Oh. It is not the legacy leadership who would run the same AI-enabled system. So the first misconception we see that it's not about tools. They think that implementing a new CRM will open up the AI adoption. It is not. Implementing the AI CRM will not help, but rather your process change, your change management mentality, mindset change, that will actually help. That is one of the misconception. The other one which I oftentimes see, as I was saying in the previous talk, that they don't know the reason why they are adopting it without having a business case or business problem. Just for the sake, I don't think it is the right approach to adopt AI. So in terms of not knowing why is also another misconception. So primarily these two aspects if we see, and since technology is sitting across all business functions, like be it in human resource, be it in technology, be it in development, even I talk about sectors, not only in information technology, in automobiles, in pharma, in BFSI, all sectors. So it is inevitable that it will sit on it. But knowing the why, and not only the tools, like today I had ChatGPT. Now Airtel announced Perplexity. Oh, I'm using Perplexity. Does that mean I'm adopting AI? No, I'm not adopting AI. I'm actually, for what reason I'm using it? Correct. So what is my use case to use the differentiate between ChatGPT and Perplexity. That is the misconception I have seen the leaders oftentimes have. Yeah.
Correct, Supriyo. Well explained. Well explained. Yeah, Ram. Yes, welcome. You're always welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple of small points I do want to clarify is there is a risk-adjusted return that one should really understand very well when it comes to AI. Is that very specific example, there is a US company, I wouldn't take the names, it was all in the news, is that in about a year and a half back, they pledged they would never hire any more humans to program. And then they tied up with OpenAI, and then they said everything is going to be agentically programmed. Okay? But about 3 months back, they came back and said, we are hiring. We're shutting down all those coding agents because we just couldn't do the job. Okay? So while that may resonate like, okay, it's a small failure, but what we have to know is that when we are taking up these newer technologies, there comes a risk. There's a footprint of future payoffs for you. So thus, let's understand what is risk-adjusted return and lens these projects in that perspective, not as an absolute return. So that is one misconception that we should not have. Second, very important thing, we should be very bold to say, look, why is this needed? For instance, I've been very loud to say that agent is not needed for everything because they are stochastic in nature. Whereas most of our automation or what decisions we make as humans are deterministic in nature. Every CEO, CTO is making deterministic decisions. Do I want to open up a GCC in India or do I want to keep it in Toronto? $1 billion invested, is there a return to it? Yes. If that is a failure, next time the CTO or a CEO is not having the opportunity to take that call. So thus they are taking a very clear deterministic decision to take that call. Here we cannot bring an ambiguous, probabilistic, 80% probable that you will succeed to be a notion. And in such cases, the agent itself is not required. You are better off with your existing RPA tools, which are doing extremely fine. So not everything needs an agent. Not everything needs the kind of AI we are in. It's the second important misconception that we should educate our leaders to
So do you think that has come from the board, from the top?
Absolutely, it has to come right from the top to say, ask the why question, be very clear on that, and then make a call.
Yes.
I'll just add one point here. As you said, that does it come from the board? Of course, yes, because I have seen many companies have made it mandated that day-to-day life AI adoption is mandatorily, and that's one of the KPI of the performance appraisal even for many IT companies. So the decision has to come from board, otherwise people will be fearful, oh, if I don't adopt AI, maybe my performance will be impacted. Right? So that is something we need to look at.
Very good, very good. Thank you for this. Okay. Now, having this very interesting session, finally we have to conclude, I don't say conclude, we have to come to an end in some good manner. So what is, I'm throwing to all of you, all my panelists, what is your points to ponder, or what you can say the feed to the entire our colleagues and including vendors, developers, everybody, from this type of new technology era? You may call it AI, blockchain or quant, whatever you call it as. What is your thought process and what you are going to give to them with your own experience, with your own, what you can say, learnings? What is that? Because I am not limited to any tool or any risk. It is a purely tech-driven. In the new era, what is that you want to say? The generic term, so that they can think over that.
See, I always call this like, see, firstly we talked about the agents, and there is an industry term called agent washing. So everybody wants to put agents in place, which is an absolute no-no. See, regardless of the technology, we always know like technology is incidental. It will underpin. Always do that necessary and sufficient analysis, like what is absolutely required for a process and what is sufficient. I mean, it's not a classic hammer and nail that you already have a hammer, then now you're looking for a nail to pound on. So that is what you need to do. New technology, get into the pool from the shallow side and then start experimenting, then build on top of that.
Yeah. Supriyo, what is your view on that?
I would say the most important thing we should keep in mind, lead with curiosity. AI is just a tool. Today is AI, tomorrow it will be AGI, and then day after tomorrow it will be something else. But what needs to be kept in mind that no matter what tool will come, end of the day it should be the human intelligence and needs to be taking in a consideration that the tool is just an assistant to assist, not for replacing human intelligence. That is the thing I think should be.
Okay. Anything, Ram?
I would take a slightly different dimension and probably say the world is an experiment and all these new tools, new companies are essentially experimenting with us. So when something is given for free, please rethink, because we are essentially trading our personal data. So the only conclusion I may give you is secure your personal data for our own secure future.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I will thank each one of you. In a few minutes, you summarized maybe my months of learnings and readings. Thank you very much. And I'll open up the audience. Any questions?
All right.
Yeah.
Very nice panel discussion. A lot of good points has come up. A quick short question to Rachit. You spoke about fear of meshing and fear of meshing. So something more detail on that. And question to Ram that when in the age of the digital era, right? So what is the resistance for the change management at the top level or at the organization level? Your thoughts on that?
Okay. Good question. Very good questions. Yeah.
Should I start with my question? Should I answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. I touched on this point about workplace AI where humans are trading their skill to make the machines better. So this is happening today. As we go to ChatGPT, we will be typing in the mails and teaching it, okay, this is the way you would need to rephrase it. So thus it learns. Same thing in a workplace environment, it is learning about the business, every business element. So what is essentially happening is humans will lose that skill, that technical skill, essentially for trying to kind of do the job faster. And the second thing that we should focus on is, I mentioned this, we should focus on the conceptual and the human element of skills that the human should retain, grow, and become better, which means humans should be able to say, fine, this AI would be doing this particular automation and intelligence for me. I want to be able to connect this to this and thus make my business a little better and get an overall ROI. That's what I mean as conceptual, a little bit more human. And the human element or the human skill is respect to how we internally humans communicate and thus have a huge amount of ROI bringing back into these projects, because these are just not technical machines. Now, what resistance we will feel is the resistance that's going on today. There was actually someone in the group this morning, they asked a question, what is going to happen to me as a programmer considering all these codes are now being generated? Is that person still there? Okay, there was a lady who had asked that question, and I wanted to address that question, meaning let's step back and think about the industrial era. We don't do the same thing. So I'll give another example, calculators. Before the calculators came, all of us learned 20 by 20 by heart. Yes. 5 a.m. in the morning, we were asked to do it by our parents.
Used to learn in
but after the calculators came, we don't do it. But that doesn't mean we are not efficient. What we solve is the problem at a much higher levels of encapsulation. So just that same way, to answer your question, we are going to be solving more bigger problems at a much higher level, which higher impact when these automations and these workplace AI and all the Gen AI is in place. And the resistance, yes, there's going to be a resistance because humans are giving up the skill. What that means is continuous, infinite amount of learning is required for the humans to keep up, not only within us, but also to make sure that we are able to feed these machines to be able to catch up with us. And that's the phase we are currently in. If you think about every ChatGPT interaction we have done in the last 2 years has evolved and given us the latest GPTs. And those GPTs know how to write everything, including some proprietary code, which has unfortunately come out. And this is on news. 5.2. So that's where I would say. And then talking about the resistance to how do we make sure that this is taken care of, we need policymakers. We need industry come together to say, look, we want to support the humans grow on the conceptual and the human elements, while we are consciously making a call that some of that skill is going to get transferred to these machines for them to be able to do. So that's a very conscious leadership, much bigger societal game we have to come in so that we observe every individual who is involved in it, because it's brain drain. It's really a big brain drain going on. And thus, those individuals should not get burnt out, but rather should be growing in a different dimension. Again, like I said, to solve a much bigger problem that the society needs us to solve. So that's what I would say. Does it answer your question?
Thanks, Anam. Very well answered. Your question,
okay.
Rachit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try keep
Very
it short, but I'll contextualize with examples. So firstly, I talked about fear of missing out.
Yes.
I see this is nothing new. I mean, this comes out from the classic game theory, and it is quite prevalent in the C-suite. that if I do something and it doesn't go well, then I run the risk. But if my competitor does it and it goes well, I run a bigger risk. So that's the fear of missing out. Now, if you look at a typical finance function, I'm talking about the work spectrum, like accounts payable, accounts receivable. Now that's a classic recipe that you can automate. It's been automated by RP already. Now you can augment it with Gen AI and Agentic AI. Now, if I don't do it, my competitor definitely will do it because it is not quantum computing. Like there are dime a dozen players who are doing it. So that's on the spectrum of fear of missing out. So should I put agents in it so that I do the latest and the greatest? But the risk of messing up, and I'll contextualize this again with an example. This is for a pension fund, which I was advising on in Europe. Now they wanted to be a market first that we want to do robo-advisory, agentic AI-led advisory. So they put a system in place which would advise their customers on their way to invest. Now, if you look at the persona for pension fund, these are the people, old age people who are not very well versed with technology. They complain to the regulator, and regulator wrapped around this pension fund on their knuckles because by GDPR laws, if you're dealing with their finances and personal data, they need to be informed how you are handling their finances and what kind of systems you're using. So these were wrapped around and they had to pay heavy penalty. So this was, while they were trying to be market first, this was risk of messing up, right?
Correct.
So you need to draw a line between these two. So that is how I would contextualize
Good
this.
example.
Yeah.
Good example, Rachit. Any questions?
Do we have more questions? All right, now, can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our esteemed panel members and our moderators?
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and I request you all to please come forward for a group photograph.